Hey everybody, do you wish that when you closed your drawers, instead of slamming hard closed like that, they close nice and soft like this? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you just how easy and inexpensive it is to add a soft close mechanism to your drawers. And the best part is this doesn't have to replace any of your existing hardware. This mechanism can be installed alongside your existing drawer mounting system, and it's a lot less expensive than you expect. Let's get started. You may have seen soft close mechanisms before that look like this. Now these are great, but they're pretty expensive and you have to replace the whole drawer mounting system. There is a right situation to use these, of course, but for the drawers in my house and likely yours, there is a much better option. Here's the mechanism I'm going to be installing today. It's from a company named Rock Hardware, and I want to make it clear that I am not endorsed by or sponsored by Rock Hardware at all. I purchased these kits on my own with my own money, and I was so happy with how they turned out that I decided to go ahead and feature them in this video. The kit comes with these little instructions that are pretty simple to follow. It also comes with two different kinds of screws, the longer ones here like this, and the shorter ones here like this, and they are used in very specific places I'll show you during the installation process. The rest of the kit consists of this longer piece here. This is going to get installed inside the drawer cabinet along the wall where the drawer closes, and then this piece of plastic here that gets attached to the side of the drawer. The way this mechanism works is really pretty simple, but also kind of genius. This little piece is going to come in and catch that ear that's sticking up right there, and when it does, this mechanism will pull that back nice and slow. Not only will it pull a drawer closed that's only kind of partway closed, it will also cushion a drawer that's been closed really hard. Now the next time you go to open the drawer, of course, that slide is going to be pulled right back out, and it is then ready for the next time that you close the drawer. Now about the only drawback I've found for this kit is going to occur when you have a drawer that's kind of loose or sloppy in the way that it was put in. What I mean by that is, if you imagine that my hand is the side of your drawer, and this has been attached to the side of the drawer, and when you go in and out of the mechanism, this little part right here will engage with this tooth. So if you imagine then that your drawer has some play in it so that when you go to pull it out, this can pop up this way or even can come up this way, then you can find that sometimes instead of pulling that mechanism like this, as you go to pull it out, it pops out of that mechanism, and then the drawer is pulled free and this mechanism is in the closed position. Then when you go to close your drawer again, it comes and just bangs into the side of that mechanism, and you may have to fight with it to get it to seat again, or you may find that even though it's got enough play to pull it out, it doesn't have enough play to put it back in. Well, the easiest and simplest solution for this is to just get a little piece of scrap wood like this and mount it on the inside of your cabinet just above where this little piece is going to engage from the drawer. And when you put it in there at just the right height, it will prevent this from popping out of the teeth and will force it to slide out this way without being able to go up this way, because this will stop it. Now how thick this needs to be will depend entirely on how thick your cabinets are and how big the gap is between your cabinet wall and the drawer side. In my case it's about 10 millimeters, but in your case it might be as big as 13 or 15 millimeters, but roughly between 1/4 inch and 3/8 of an inch, or like I said, 10 to 13 millimeters should be about all you need. Now I hope this has made some sense. I know it's a little difficult to visualize, so later on in this video I will show you how to install this extra little piece like this to prevent that from happening. However, in my case, I haven't actually needed this anywhere, as my cabinets and drawers have fairly tight tolerances. Alright, that's enough preliminary yammering. The first thing we want to do to install this kit is to remove the drawer from the cabinet. How you do this exactly will vary a little bit based on what type of hardware you have mounting your drawers, but get the drawer out and set it off to one side. The instructions say to empty the drawer, but I personally haven't actually found the need to do that. Now with the drawer pulled out, we're ready to get started. At this point, it's really important to make sure that you've got the right kind of existing drawer mechanism to use with this kit. And that is, you've got to have the kind of slides that stay out of the way of where this kit needs to be. If you have the kind of slides that mount on the side of the drawer and have a piece that's mounted up in this area on the side here, rather than down at the bottom like this, then this kit is probably not going to work for your particular setup. On the first piece of the kit we're going to install, you'll see that it's got these little ears that overhang just a little bit on the sides. And those are used to make sure that you line things up. Our first step is to install this by just sliding it in on top of the existing drawer slide and then overhang that back edge just a little bit so it stays perfectly lined up with the front edge of the cabinet, like that. With this first piece in place, now I like to pre-drill where I'm going to be putting in the screws. So I'm going to use a drill with a very small bit and put it right through this top screw hole, and we'll just go in a little ways to pre-drill so we don't bust out anything or strip anything in my cabinetry. Do the same thing at the rear. I should mention that there are a bunch of holes that are pre-drilled in this bracket that you might be tempted to use. The instructions though are pretty clear. They want you to use this upper hole at the rear and the upper hole at the front corner right there. With my pilot holes drilled, I'm now ready to screw this into the side of my cabinet. For this particular piece, you want to use the longer screws that come in the kit. You don't need to overdo it with these screws. They need to be snug but not super tight. Again, do the same at the back. And here's how this part of the kit should look when it's properly installed. The front edge is perfectly flush with the front edge of the cabinet. The little feet that stick down at the bottom are sitting right on top of the track that the drawer slides in, and you should have a screw at this corner right here and another one at the top rear corner right there. With the first part of the kit mounted, now we'll just reinstall the drawer. Now we're ready to install this other part of the kit. It's going to get mounted on the drawer with this flat part here being put as far forward towards the front part of the drawer as possible, so this larger part back here will be able to engage with the mechanism like I showed earlier. To do this, we're going to take this piece and put it on the side of the drawer just like that. Then we'll slide it out until it hits the rear of the faceplate of the drawer. Then take a couple of fingers and wrap around the side and hold that piece in place just like this. With those two fingers, this makes it pretty easy to slide up or down, which is what we're going to need in the next step. Then we'll slowly bring the drawer back until it's almost closed, but we're going to now need to align this piece vertically so that the back of it just barely touches the part of the bracket we've already installed. I apologize, this is a little bit hard to see on the camera, but I'm setting it up so that this bottom part right here is just barely touching the top part right there. That's where I like to start with my alignment, where it just barely touches that. Now we can pull the drawer back out just a little bit and use a pencil to mark the ovals that are here that we're going to use for our screw holes. There's an oval in the front and in the rear, and when you've done that, you should be left with a couple of oval marks on the drawer. With those ovals marked, now I'm going to drill some pilot holes right in the center of the ovals. Be careful that you don't go all the way through the drawer. Then we'll realign this bracket with those two holes and install it with 2 of the 3 remaining screws. Now keep in mind though, you don't want to put those screws in really tight yet. Put them in kind of loose so that you can still move the bracket around to get the alignment exactly perfect. Then bring the drawer almost closed again and realign this piece so that it just barely touches the front part of that bracket when you go to close the drawer. There, I'm happy with that. Once you're satisfied with the alignment, go ahead and put in that 3rd screw in the middle hole of this bracket. Again, I like to drill a pilot hole as well. And now we can tighten down all 3 screws. One more word of caution, just like with the bracket inside the cabinet, these screws don't have to be super tight. You don't want to strip anything out. With both halves of the kit installed, now you can close your drawer and enjoy the nice soft closing... Wait, what? So you see, I've purposely made one of the most common mistakes I think people will run into when they install this kit. And that is that the piece that you install inside the cabinet comes from the factory in the drawer closed position. And if you forget to open it manually before you put it in there, the first time you go to close your drawer, it's not going to work. If this happens to you, the fix is extremely simple. Pull the drawer back out, reach inside there with your fingers, pull the mechanism back out to the open position, put the drawer back in, and now you can enjoy a nice, soft closing drawer. Earlier in the video, I talked about how some drawer systems might have a little bit of extra play in them, which might cause this to come off the mechanism when you go to open the drawer, which makes the soft close not work properly. So to fix this, take this little piece off the side of your drawer and place it on top of the mechanism inside your cabinet. Then grab that little piece of wood I described earlier, little scrap piece of wood, and place it just above that piece so that there's a little bit of play. You can move it back and forth some, or up and down some, but it doesn't have enough play that it can hop out of that tooth. Make sure you test it a couple of times to make sure that there's enough clearance. Then when you're satisfied where it's placed, I like to just drill a couple of pilot holes like I described earlier, and secure it in place with a couple of screws. This will prevent the drawer mechanism from popping off and will keep your soft close working properly. And then of course the final step is to reinstall the drawer and make sure everything is working properly. Well, that's all there is to it. I really love what a difference this makes in our kitchen, and I can't believe just how inexpensive these kits are and how easy they are to install. Now, the only other thing I do want to mention is there's a little bit of extra resistance now when you go to open the drawer. So that's something you'll have to get used to. It's not a ton, but it does make a little bit of a difference. However, for me, the trade-off is well worth it because now these drawers never slam closed. Hey, I appreciate you watching this far into the video. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, go ahead and hit me with a thumbs up down below. And if you've got any questions or comments or suggestions for how I could have done this better, I'm always open to hearing that feedback down in the comments section as well. And as always, thank you very much for watching. So sometimes if your mechanism is really loose and you've got a grandfather clock that's going off in the background and ruining all your audio, and before we do, I just wanted to point out exactly how to stay in focus. Oh my goodness, that's not how. Drop it down and set it right on top of the existing drawer slide, just like that. Hello, clock. And it's 9:15. Okay, try again. I should probably mention here that autofocus is generally better for your life. Okay, was I hitting record? I did hit record, yay!